Damn, Hana conquered the Tsundere very, very quickly there. I was not expecting to have this whole relationship build with An that quickly, to kind of get past that barrier that she had up. But damn, what an interesting episode. Episode 5 of Flower and Asura, because I had a lot of preconceptions about what An's story was going to be. I mean, it felt like it was very obviously going the route of she is sort of like Hana, but a failure. And the idea that she really badly wanted to do recitals, but at some point she gave up because she went for the route that would be successful. And Hana, through Hana seeing that she's doing something that she likes, An's going to get fixed, right? Not really. Not really. There's a lot of very interesting trauma here, and it really does get into an element of, you guys think that's what I want, but I don't want that. Like, there's so much in this episode, like even Hana, confronting her and saying, you should do what you want to do. And An's like, you don't understand what I want. Nobody does. You guys keep saying to do this, do this, do this. You guys don't know me. I don't want to lose. And it does feel like, based on that last scene, which was a very beautiful scene, by the way, that last scene was literally her saying, no, I never cared about that. Like, I came into this and I went to do recital, but then I chose to do this. And yes, it does seem like there is a little bit of a trauma there in her losing to her friend, but I don't think, nothing in that conversation felt like she was talking about, I lost recital and I won it back. It was just simply, we were doing this one thing and my friend was doing it better than I was. And then I don't like losing. That's really what it is. Not that she lost something there. It was more that she lost a friend, it feels like. It really does feel like that. And based on the fact that she really doesn't like this Blue Spring story, and that Blue Spring story being a lot about the idea of not having confidence, waiting for somebody to be nice to them, and yes, as she puts it, a story that was fake, something that would never happen. It's like, it's a fairy tale. It's just not realistic. It feels like that really came to something where something bad happened. Now, based on what Miko says later on at some point in the episode, it does seem like if this Misaki girl is the person that she had this experience with, because she wants to compete with An again, it doesn't seem like doesn't like An. So I really do feel like we're going to come back to this story. I really do feel like this is not the end of An's story. This is the end of An being very combative with Hana. I think she's still going to push Hana, which I think she's going to be a great person to help Hana. So I'm happy that door's open, but we'll see about An herself. But anyways, the episode itself. Let's get into the episode itself, because I'm getting way ahead of myself. Let's hit each point like I usually do. But yes, opening up the episode with Hana having to decide what she wants to do. She doesn't want to finish reading her stories because she doesn't want to have to decide. Mizuki's like, don't get anxious about it. Just take your time. Here, read this story because it's about broadcast, and that's super rare. And yeah, it turns out Hana really likes the story. We do get to see when she finally does go home at some point, and she does do some recital by herself and records it. She gets to run into the problem that I myself have faced, many people that record themselves have faced, the idea that your voice doesn't quite sound like what it sounds like to you. And that's obviously because your voice is leaving you, it's bouncing off objects, it's coming back to you. You don't get a full sense of what you sound like. So yes, even for myself, listening to myself, it's like, I got used to it at some point. You get used to it at some point. I hated hearing myself at first. But anyways, that aside, the story itself, when she reigns Blue Spring, it specifically gets into this idea, or at least the lines themselves talk about not having confidence and waiting for someone to be nice to you. And then yes, it does sound like it gets into almost a passionate love. Now, it could be an admiration love, but obviously based on the cover and what it's kind of getting into, it does sound like it's getting into sort of a Yuri story. Now, again, does play heavily into typically what is with this particular creator of Sound Euphonium. They like that Yuri stuff. They like baiting in that Yuri stuff. So I kind of wonder if the intent here is to get into the idea of, what we'll get into later, was An in a relationship with this Misaki, or at least seeing that. But all signs are pointing to that this story is about a love of some sort. And yes, Hana, as we see as she talks to other people, she finds a relatability in it. Yes, a lot of that relatability does seem to be in the idea that, yeah, she doesn't have confidence, and somebody like Mizuki came across to her, probably helped her out, and she really appreciates that. And additionally, getting the idea of wanting to repay what they've done for them. That yes, obviously Mizuki has helped her a lot, and so yeah, Hana would want to help out Mizuki at some point, or return that favor of some sort. So, really cool stuff there. I really liked it. But yes, we had a few scenes with Miko. Again, we find out that Miko did go to school with An, and again, does bring up the fact that she's talked to Misaki at some point. wanting to do recital with On again. So we do find out that this person that On knew from a while back that she apparently went to this club with for recital, at some point, as we find out the end, did beat her. It does seem like this person doesn't dislike On, which is kind of the unfortunate thing about this whole situation. Again, where I think that Hana, relating to that book and liking that book, On doesn't like it because I'm assuming that On liked this particular person, Misaki. And again, they both went to the same club, and at some point Misaki beat her, and it seemed to have caused a rift with her relationship with Misaki, which really sucks, again, because right now we're finding out here, based on what Miko's saying, that Misaki doesn't have anything against On, but it does seem like On doesn't want to communicate with her or something. It broke her. The fact that she lost really did mess with her. And this is the part where I do think that On's story is not over. I really do think that going forward at some point, we're probably going to get Misaki. Maybe what it's going to turn to is Hana being helped by On in a recital, and On is going to essentially compete with Misaki again through Hana. I think On's going to run into Misaki at some point, bring her back into the picture, because I think there's a trauma here. Because again, Misaki doesn't seem like she's against On, but On is against, doing something with Misaki. And I think that's going to help her get over that. But yeah, her kind of lashing out about that situation, then immediately turning around and going, "You're not going to read this book, are you? I hate that book. You should read this book. It's better for your voice." And that does get into that thing that, yes, On here is still trying to help Hana in some way. But I do think there's an element here of her just not wanting Hana to be reading that book because she doesn't want to hear it, which does come in later on when she does finally recite something in front of On, which I believe was from the book because it had the same fountain and everything. That was a gut punch moment. I almost felt bad for On because at that point, my assumption is based on how On reacts to Hana reading that. That's a lapse back to something. And I almost felt like that's a lapse back to a trauma, not like a pain trauma or something like that, like a physical trauma, but like a psychological trauma. It reminds me of something that hurts. That hurts, and I don't want to hear that. It really does suck. But I mean, in the end, it does seem like whatever Hana did in reading that, it does seem like it did change On's perspective, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that Hana's just really damn good at it. And I think there might be an element there where she sort of sees herself in Hana, not necessarily sees Misaki in Hana. That might be the difference there. But again, that may come up in the future if we get back into On's story, specifically about Misaki and giving up recital. But at some point, Hana tells On, "I'm going to read Blue Spring. I want to. It's something I want to do." She's like, "You're hopeless." On's like, "You're hopeless. You're using this stupid reason that you like it. Your voice is your weapon. You shouldn't be doing that. You should do something that uses your voice." Which does technically play into what Kishijoji said. That's what he said. He said, "You're not very good. You're being carried by your voice. You don't have all the structure that you need to learn about doing recital," which is going to get into the inflections and stuff like that. So you're being carried by your voice. And so On's actually echoing what he's saying. You need to do something that is going to focus on your voice, something that just needs your voice to do good, and you'll win. Don't go with what everybody else is telling you. They're all okay with mediocre. I'm going to be the one that's going to get you to win. So listen to me, kind of thing. And then Hana says something that kind of break the camel back. Break that camel's back. Says, "You should do something you like too." And she's like, "You sound just like everybody else." Everybody else is telling On to do what she wants to do. They don't know her. I want to do this. I don't want to lose. This is the thing I want to do. I do kind of feel for the situation because, again, I had the same thought process there. I think from the very beginning of the story, it kind of gives the indication that the assumption is that On at some point went into the recital. She loved recital. The assumption is that she loved recital. And I think it was a lot to do with Shudai. I think what Shudai kind of implanted that in my head that, oh, I wonder if he's talking about that. Because he said at some point in the very beginning, the introductions, is I don't like people that exploit other people and force them to do something they don't want to do. It was something like that. And I thought that he was talking about On in that situation. It's not. The assumption is that she wants to do recital. She doesn't. There's no indication there, especially with the last scene of this episode, that she wanted to do that. Hana is making the same assumption I think a lot of people, including myself, would make. Oh, the story's going to go this direction. And so it's not really a bad assumption, but it is a hurtful assumption that she's kind of getting frustrated with. Stop telling me what I want to do. I know what I want to do. And she said it several times. I don't want to lose. But yeah, she goes back in the club room. Did you shoot eyes at me like, did you get a fight? What happened? She was like, you what happened with you? And some nice words from Matsuyuki once again. Again, him, based on how this conversation ends in this club room, I really do think that Matsuyuki is there for An. I think he knows her way too much. And again, it kind of indicates the idea of efficiency and whatnot, because his perspective is like, you guys don't understand what An's going through. I kind of have the same thought process that she does. From Matsuyuki's perspective, I don't like doing things that waste my time. I only like to work on things that gives me a reward. I don't like to do things that aren't rewarded. And so I'm all about efficiency, valuing efficiency, which, yes, shoot, I kind of points out afterwards, like, then why did you join a club? I was told that I'd be good at it. Is that enough? Walks out the door. If he was all about efficiency, he wouldn't have joined a club. True. I mean, he would probably do a going home club. Go home and study for the next test. Why would you go to a club that gets you really nothing in the end? Yes, a lot of clubs will open the door to stuff later on. Like you do student council because it helps you with political moves or management or something like that. But for something like a broadcasting club, unless you're going to do broadcast in your future, no. If he's all about efficiency, why? That makes me believe this guy knows On. I don't know. We might find out something else later. It might not be that easy, because now that everything happened with On, I'm starting to question everything that I would assume, because it was kind of handled well with On. That Matsuyuki, that might have something else there. But yeah, it's a good point. If you're all about efficiency, why are you here? But he's making a good point when it comes to On. And again, it does go back to what he said before when he defended her. And he was on point, because it made On think ski, because he was technically, spitting facts. The idea of doing something that is going to get you success. She chose that probably to get success. There's no point in doing something that's going to get you failure. Yes, plays into On's idea there that she just wants to win. Plain and simple. But yes, Hana wants to be On's friend, so she starts chasing him everywhere, saying that she wants to be her friend, until eventually On snaps at her, said she doesn't want to make nice. What did she say? It was really good. What I don't like about you is that you're not definite. I don't like things that are not definite. The upperclassmen talk to you into joining, and they fawn over you. You flaunt how insecure you are like an idiot, and expect that someone's going to help you out. I kind of wonder if that's a little bit of a tilt there in On's whole experience in the past. Because again, she doesn't like Blue Spring. And the idea of Blue Spring, the story in there is somebody that had no confidence, and they were waiting for somebody to be nice to them. And again, this is a story that she seems to not like, that she believes is just a dumb story that doesn't pan out like it does. It's just fictitious. Makes me believe that she had the same experience and things didn't go well with her in the end, which I have been really believing is going to be Hana's issue at some point, because Hana is way too reliant on Mizuki. And I think at some point, Hana's going to have to do something or make a choice that goes against Mizuki, or she's not going to have Mizuki there to carry her. And it's going to make her crash because she's way too reliant on her. But anyhow, she's implying that Hana is joining on a whim right here. Whereas for On herself, she's joining the club because it's a definite thing for her. That she's going to do this, and no matter what, she's going to win. She's not like Hana. I don't need somebody to tell me what to do. But yes, Hana's reaction to that is that I've been reading for years too. I've always been doing this. This is something I like. And I don't know what you think of me, but I want you to love me. I was like, what, girl? An's like, huh? Like, what? You want me to love you? What the hell are you talking about? I want you to like me as a person. I think Hana's been reading that book too much. I think she was reading out of that Blue Spring, and she's like, I want you to love me. Girl, you can't recite the book when you're talking to somebody casually. But no, it was funny because it kind of comes to this point where she believes that An wants her to get good at reading and reciting, and then that point, An will be okay with her. So I'm going to get good at reading so that she'll be nice to me now. And so that goes into this whole thing where everybody's helping her training montage so that she can get on to like her. Which works. Again, reciting in front of everybody and An having that little brief look from her. Like, this was something personal. Again, I think the lines that she read from that book were something of a personal value to An, because the reaction really did feel like she was reliving it, so to speak. And I think that's something that's really telling. But everybody's like, reciting in front of everybody? It's like, don't group me up with her. Drags her off somewhere. But that's when we get the full like look into An's character here. The idea that yes, she went to this club in middle school. It was something that she just did on a whim. She decided to join that. She brought her friend with her into it. At some point, her childhood friend that she brought with her beat her. She was better at it than her. She claimed it was a fluke, but she was actually way better than her. She felt belittled, and she didn't want to go through that again. And that leads into her now doing something that she knows she just has a talent for. She has the ability in her body, her voice, everything. She can do this one thing, and it's all about the idea of not wanting to lose again. Again, nothing in her story says that she liked recital. She just joined it, brought her friend with her, and her friend beat her. And it really does feel like a lot of it was her friend kind of puffing her up into thinking that she was really good at this thing, but then her friend just beats her. I was really good at this. She kept praising me, and then she comes in there and she beats me, and then she says, oh, it was a fluke, and now I feel belittled. Again, nothing in that story said, I love this thing. It just says that she never wants to lose again. She wants to succeed at things. She wants to win things. She doesn't want to feel belittled again. So it's a very interesting kind of switch there. Victory is the only thing that will quench my thirst, as she says. But I think the key thing in that conversation, I think that was the biggest impact there, was her telling Hana, I chose this thing. Again, definite. I chose this thing. Don't suggest that I want to do this thing. This is my thing. Everybody thinks they understand what I want. They keep telling me, do what you like. But that's the other thing. It's like a two compounding factor there. One is that people are telling me that I don't want to do this thing, but I want to do this thing. But the other thing is that everybody's telling me to do something that I will like, something that I won't take seriously. So there's like a two aspect thing here of almost an insult to somebody like An, which again, I do think Masayuki does understand. But yeah, it all wraps up with Hana apologizing for forcing on it. And yeah, saying that she acknowledged her. Acknowledge her, telling that she can read whatever she wants. Oh, so you acknowledged me. She's super happy. We're friends now. Don't assume that, Baka. It was cute. It was a cute little wrap up. I think that whole later scene was such a beautifully portrayed scene. And again, a lot of it is just kind of making that realization point of don't assume what people want kind of thing. I think there is, of course, a lot of this that is An's fault for not making her choices clear. But again, a lot of that does seem like it had to bring up things that she doesn't want to talk about. She doesn't want to talk about Misaki. She doesn't want to talk about Misaki, if that's Misaki that was her friend, her childhood friend. But anyhow, really fantastic episode. Continues to be a fantastic series. Really enjoying it. But I hope you guys enjoyed my video. As always, if you did, hit the like button down below. Comment. Let me know what's the episode. Additionally, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe before you leave. Like this content, you want to support the channel more. I have links in the description below. Greatly appreciate it. Until next time, y'all take care.